going to begin by quoting a little Mishnah. The Mishnah, of course, is the earliest part of the Talmud, and which came together about 200, the year 200. I often wonder if the word Mishnah is also, grammatically, it certainly is. The word Mishnah is connected to Vishinantam. We say in the Shema, Vishinantam levanecha, you shall teach it to your children, or you shall repeat and repeat and repeat it to your children. Mishnah becomes a text around the year 200, but it may have been an oral text, something that was repeated. And it's a collection of traditions and lore, practices. And it says in Mishnah Yoma, Yoma is Aramaic for Hayom. Yoma means the day. Mishnah Yoma is about Yom Kippur. And it says, for transgressions between humanity and God, Yom Kippur atones. For transgressions between humans and their fellows, Yom Kippur does not atone until you have first reconciled with your fellow. Right? So we have mitzvot that are bein adam lemakom, that are between human beings and God, and we have mitzvot that are bein adam lechavaro, between human beings and each other. And you have averot, transgressions that are bein adam lemakom, that are between humans and God, and transgressions that are between humans and each other. And the Mishnah is very clear. Yom Kippur, as a practice, atones for those transgressions that are between us and God. But before they can atone for the transgressions that are between us and each other, we have to reconcile with each other. And then Yom Kippur atones for them as well. Which means that we have a lot of preparation to do before Yom Kippur. So this week, Sunday and Monday, to be exact, we enter into the month of Elul on the Jewish calendar. Elul is that month of preparation, the month of preparation. We prepare ourselves for Rosh Hashanah, which itself is a preparation for Yom Kippur. For we understand that it is not enough to go through some motions on Yom Kippur, and it is not enough to say we are sorry and go through motions on Yom Kippur. It's not enough even to mean it when we say we're sorry as we go through motions on Yom Kippur. Yes, we need to mean all that and do all that, but we also must reach out to those we may have offended, to those we know we have offended and those we do not know we have offended. And we need to strive to reconcile with them and repair any hurt that exists between us. So the month of Elul is preparation time. Elul work is the spiritual work we do in the month of Elul. And it prepares us, if nothing else, it opens us up to be ready to mean what we say as we express our regret and our sorrow on Yom Kippur, and to strive to set ourselves on a right course. During Elul, extra prayers are added to our services. On weekday mornings, it's weekday mornings in traditional congregations, it is the tradition to blow the shofar every day, every morning, except the morning directly before Rosh Hashanah, just for contrast. We are instructed to look deep within ourselves for indicators of our growing edges, indications of where we need to change, and we are instructed to reach out beyond ourselves and ask forgiveness from everyone we know for things we may have done that hurt them intentionally or unintentionally, knowingly or unknowingly. And when we are asked to forgive them, we are instructed to seek a means to offer forgiveness as well. And on Elul, we begin to wish each other a Shana Tova, a good year, and say, L'Shana Tova Tikatevo, may you be inscribed for a good year. We find great symbolism for this period of time in Midrash as well. Midrash suggests that the first day of the month of Elul, this month of preparation, the first day of the month of Elul is the date upon which Moses carves out a set of tablets as he's been instructed, and goes up the mountain again for the second time. The first of Elul is the day he carves those tablets and goes up again. He's already climbed up the mountain once. He stayed up there 40 days and 40 nights, according to the text, keeping in mind that in biblical numbers, 40 seems always to mean a lot, a great many. 40 years as an entire generation. Moses has received the first set of tablets, and he's received the carved words upon them. Yet, when he comes down the mountain, he gets a shock. The people have strayed. They haven't even yet received the Torah, and they are already dancing around a golden calf, breaking the promises they had been preparing to take on. True, they had not yet received the Torah. It's like they had not yet gotten married, but they had already been engaged. It's like if a couple is getting married on a Wednesday and they're violating their relationship on the Tuesday before, you know there's a problem, even if they're not yet quite married. Or there will be a problem if the other one finds out. And in this case, they did. So Moses is in a shock. He shatters the tablets. The relationship's in tatters. God is furious. Moses begs forgiveness on behalf of the people, and God eventually relents. Why? Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Chaim Rafesed V'Rachamim. God is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, full of loving, caring, and compassion, remembering our transgressions to the third and fourth generation, but remembering our kindnesses a lot longer than that, for 1,000 generations. But this is the time, it's this moment when Moses is going up there with those to get those tablets, or to get those words, that Moses hears these words about God's compassion and caring and patience are presented. And those are the words we repeat on Yom Kippur and on Rosh Hashanah to remind God of what God reminded us. That God is compassionate and forgiving. God relents, God forgives. And on the first day of Elul, it's the first day of Elul, the day that begins the month of all our Elul work. God says to Moses, according to tradition, God says to Moses on the first day of Elul, "Nu, okay, go up already. We'll have a do-over. But this time, you have to provide the tablets. I'll provide the words, but you guys provide the tablets. From now on, this is going to be a cooperative effort, you and me together." Is the first time that Moses goes up. He doesn't have to provide the tablets. He just goes up and gets the tablets with the words. Now he has to provide the tablets, and God will provide the words. So Moses goes up at the beginning of the month, the first day of Elul, and he's up on the mountain for a long time, 40 days and 40 nights. And do the math. If a month is 30 days and Yom Kippur is always 10 days into the next month, 40 days and 40 nights means that Moses comes down from the mountain with the second tablets on Yom Kippur. Moses comes down from the mountain on Yom Kippur with the single most important symbol of God's forgiveness ever in our narrative history, the second set of tablets, the product of our renewed relationship, built on a foundation of forgiveness. So the Torah itself is all built on forgiveness. This is part of what we learn out of all the rambunctious defiance and tumultuous emotional struggle going on in the Torah. And it's a reflection of life. It's life's an emotional wrestle, a struggle to walk the right path and make the right decisions 100% of the time. But forgiveness is built in to the relationship. And just like each year, we return each year to the Exodus from Egypt, on Passover, and each year we return to standing at Sinai on Shavuot. So too each year we return to the forgiveness of the second tablets on Yom Kippur. But right now we are entering into Elul work, getting those words carved on the tablet. And this week's Parsha opens up right on cue. It's Parshat Re'eh. I'm always amazed how as we approach the high holidays each year, the Torah readings that we encounter at this time of year at the end of the book of Deuteronomy all seem to be echoing the theme of the season. Just like ours this week. The first verse of the Parsha this week is Re'eh. Re'eh anochi noten lifnechem hayom bracha uklala. See, I give before you today a blessing and curse. Even more, see, I give before you today blessing and curse. It's intriguing to me as well that most of the time the Torah is saying Shema, Shema, hear, 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 listen. That seems to be the primary sense of the Torah. Listen. This time it's see, see. I give before you today blessing and curse. And the details basically, live a life of mitzvah and see blessing. Live a life without mitzvah and see curse. That's basically the message of the season. You can interpret it as the machinations of a jealous, judging God, or you can read it as a matter of consequences. Do good things and you increase the likelihood that good things will happen. Do bad things and you increase the likelihood that bad things will happen. It's as it's taught in Pirkei Avot, also part of the Mishnah, the reward of a mitzvah is a mitzvah. The reward of a transgression is a transgression. Jewish karma, sort of. And all of this is embedded in relationship. We find this intriguing verse in the Parsha. Banim atem ladonai Elohechem. You are children of Adonai your God. You are children of Adonai your God. Banim atem, you are children. That is a strong statement of relationship between us as a people and God. And so right then and there, the Torah instructs us to engage in practices that remind us of this special relationship. We are to avoid, and this is a quote from the translation, that you are to avoid gashing ourselves or shaving the front of our heads because of the dead, which seems to have been a ritualized act of mourning among other peoples, but we are supposed to maintain our own distinctive practices in order to maintain our own identity. We're to keep a kosher diet to maintain our identity. We are to bring tithes and offerings and celebrate with them at the temple and to support the Levites who maintain the temple. We're to give tzedakah to the poor, the orphan, the widow, the stranger, to uphold the sabbatical year, which, by the way, begins this Rosh Hashanah, a sabbatical year, and to uphold all the justice that the sabbatical year represents. And we are to observe the pilgrimage festivals, Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, and adamantly rejoice on those festivals. Vayhayita ach sameach. You shall be altogether joyful. You shall be joyful whether you're happy about it or not. Joy as a command. Not in order to make you feel worse about yourself if you are in a state of depression, but as an affirmation of life. Joy is an affirmation of life, a statement that life is worth living, which in itself is perhaps the most basic expression of faith. Faith is, simply put, a statement that life is worth living. So even if we find it difficult to feel joy, we still need to strive to be joyful. Feel joy and be joyful. And if you can't feel joy first, then fake it by being joyful and strive to get to a place where you can feel joy too. And the last two verses of the Parsha suggests how we might do that. Through gratitude and through giving. You shall be altogether joyful, the text says. 3 times a year on Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, we shall appear in Jerusalem, nor shall they appear empty-handed. And the text says, but each with his own gift, according to the blessing that Adonai, your God, has bestowed upon you. That is, focus on what you have to be grateful for, and bring what you can as a gift. In that way, make this a time of rejoicing, for all of rejoicing, living out a pattern of life that affirms your relationship to Adonai, embracing a life of mitzvah and the path of blessing. All of this is an affirmation of life. And as the Torah says, the Torah itself says near its conclusion, I give you a choice between life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life that you and your children may live. That is the theme of Elul and the focus of our Elul work. The month of Elul begins with Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is this Sunday and Monday. May it be a month of life and blessing for all of us, for all Israel and all the world. Leshana Tova Tikatevu. May you all be inscribed for a good year. Shabbat Shalom.